You always hear a lot of weird stories about Walmarts. At least, I always have. People are always complaining about how the stores are creepy, or they saw some crazy person inside of one. I never experienced anything like that, though. I never really used to shop at Walmart that much anyways. Just every now and then when it was convenient. That all changed, though. After that night, I've never gone back to a Walmart again. It started when I got off work one night to find that it was raining pretty hard outside. I hated driving in the rain, so I was pretty annoyed by it, especially because I'd been planning on buying some last-minute groceries after work. I was hosting a girls' night, and I still needed a couple of things. I decided that I would just stop off at a Walmart close by and grab the stuff. I didn't want to drive any further than I had to. When I got to the Walmart, I tried to find a parking space close to the front, but of course they were all full. I had to park a good ways away from the building and walk through the rain to get inside. As I approached the Walmart door and tried to shield myself from getting too wet, something crazy happened. Out of nowhere, I saw a woman come screaming and running out of the store like a psycho. I stopped and watched as the woman ran off into the parking lot, still screaming as she went. It was incredibly unsettling to hear someone in that much distress. For a moment, I contemplated going inside. I wondered if there could actually be something horrible. After a few seconds, I decided that the woman was probably just crazy. I had just experienced my own weird Walmart story to share with my friends later on. The thought reassured me and I headed inside. I grabbed a shopping cart from the front and quickly headed over to the grocery section. I only needed a few things, but I still wanted to hurry to make sure I got home in time. While in one of the aisles, I suddenly felt something wet dripping on me.
What the hell?
I wiped it off immediately, confused. Whatever it wasn't water. I figured it was probably just rain mixed with nasty ceiling mold or something. I looked up to see if I could find where it came from, but I didn't notice anything. I assumed it must have just leaked from a hole or a crack in the ceiling. It was probably just best to ignore it and move on. So I picked up the item that I had been looking for and headed to the next aisle. I was just trying to figure out what kind of chips I wanted, when the same thing happened again. I felt something wet drip on my head. I wiped it off and noticed that it was a much larger amount of the wet substance this time. It was really gross. I still had no idea what it was either. But I was getting pretty weirded out at the idea that something was dripping on me from multiple different places in the store. It didn't seem very likely. After I finished wiping the stuff off, I moved to the next aisle and continued shopping. Several minutes went by, and then once again, a substance dripped on me.
Okay, what the hell is going on?
I was pretty annoyed by that point. What were the odds that something had dripped on my head 3 different times? I frustratedly started wiping it off as I looked up and tried to figure out where it could be coming from. I still didn't see any sign of a hole in the ceiling or anything like that. As I wiped the stuff, I looked closer and realized that it was some sort of white substance. It couldn't have been rain or mold. I still didn't know what it was though. It smelled absolutely disgusting, like piss or something. The more of it that I wiped off, the more I got grossed out. There was quite a bit of it on me this time. It had even dripped off of my head onto my shirt. After several minutes of wiping, I finally got it all off of me and decided that I would get the hell out of there before any more of it could get on me. As I turned around, I happened to look up at the top of the aisle shelf, only to see the creepiest man that I'd ever seen staring back at me with a crazed smile on his face. Then, to my horror, I watched as the crazy-ass guy squirted a tube of white substance directly at me. I was immediately covered in it. It was disgusting. I continued to scream as I ran to the front and begged the Walmart staff to help me.
Please, you have to help me. There's a man squirting stuff at me in the aisles. He's insane.
At first, the staff thought I was the crazy one, but I eventually got them to believe me and they sent security to find the man. He was detained after they caught him in another aisle trying to squirt the same substance on a different woman. I got a good look at the man as security dragged him back to the front. He was so creepy looking. As they brought him past me, he looked at me again with that same crazed smile. Come on, you know you wanted it. The police later came and arrested the man. He was identified as a man named Timothy, who was notorious for harassing women around the area and for squirting his bodily fluid on women around Walmart. I now know why that woman had come running out of the store like that. I've been traumatized by the whole ordeal ever since. I still can't get over the fact that he did that to me 4 times. I don't even know what would have happened if I hadn't caught him. I haven't been to Walmart again though, just in case there are more out there like him. The story was inspired by one of the most disturbing Walmart incidents that occurred around 2017. A 28-year-old man named Timothy Blake was arrested for allegedly filling syringes with his own bodily fluid. I'm sure you guys can guess which fluid we're referring to. He would then go on to terrorize several women at an Ohio Walmart by spraying them with it, according to a police report. The man was charged after 2 female customers complained of a man following them around the store and squirting them with a quote-unquote sticky substance. Originally, Blake claimed the white substance in question was egg yolks mixed with flour, a concoction he said he learned to make on the internet. But he later admitted that it was his own bodily fluid after an officer told him they had run tests on the substance. Blake admitted to quote-unquote creating the substance in his vehicle and in the Walmart bathroom, as well as committing the heinous act around a dozen times over 2 months. When pressed on why he committed his crimes, Blake said that it was something he had discovered on the internet and decided to try it.
Dear Josh, it has come to my attention that you have an employee by the name of Martha Perry who's been on payroll for 89 days. As I am sure you are aware, we're required to give benefits to all employees who have been employed for more than 90 days. This is an official reminder that regional management has enacted a policy to reduce costs by absolutely restricting any increase in the number of employees on payroll who receive benefits, as it is considerably cheaper to simply train new employees. Please act in accordance with regional policy. Sincerely, Ryan, Walmart Regional Manager.
No, not Martha. Oh, crap. You really want me to fire a sweet old lady like her? She doesn't deserve this. She's got a better work ethic than half of my employees. Maybe I tell her that she's too old? Her skin is getting more saggy and looser like the sleeve of a wizard's robe. Okay, let's get this over with. Excuse me, coming through. Sorry, thank you. Sorry, just trying to pass through. Hey, Martha? Oh, Josh, it's so good to see you. Do I have to come to the office for one of those promotion meetings again? No, not now. I don't know how to tell you this, but Am I getting a raise? Oh, I knew the day would eventually come after all the raises I've been giving you. No, Martha, it's none of that. Unfortunately, I have to let you go. What the hell did you just say? Do you mean you're letting me go? Yes, as in I'm firing you. What? No, you cannot fire me! I need this job! Please, I need a refill on my dentures! You have to understand, I don't have any retirement savings! If I can't pay my rent, I'll be out on the street! Martha, I'm sorry, but you need to stay calm. There are plenty of other jobs out there. Please, don't fire me! Please, no one will subscribe to an old lady's OnlyFans! I'll take a janitor position! Anything, please! Get off me! I'm sorry, Martha. I promise I didn't want to do this, but it wasn't my decision. If I don't fire you, my boss will fire me. That makes you nothing but a spineless coward! You littering dog shit! Martha, don't do anything crazy, alright? You can't tell me what to do after you fired me! Somebody help! Get this wrinkly glob off me! Call the cops! She's crazy!
Hey there, ma'am. I need you to get down from there and exit the store, alright?
No, don't go near her!
Hey, put me down!
Everyone stay away! Let the cops handle this! Martha, please listen talk to me. I'm sorry. This is all your fault. Now I have to drop resumes when I should be on vacation, sipping on mimosas. Ah! Martha, stop. You're gonna hurt somebody. Well, I don't care. If you come any closer, I'll rip your throat out and shove it through your eye socket. No, please don't.
Step aside, sir. We'll take it from here. Ma'am, you need to calm down. Show us your hands and get on the ground.
Do you think I'm afraid of you? I eat punks like you for breakfast. That fool knows firsthand how my gums feel. Ah! Ah! Oh!
I'm so sorry, Martha. I didn't mean for this to happen. What have I done? This story was inspired by an incident regarding a North Carolina Walmart employee who was filmed flinging merchandise from the shelves as co-workers and shoppers looked on in horror. The incident occurred on December 6th at the Walmart Supercenter in Huntsville, when the worker, identified only by her name Carmen, began to move from aisle to aisle, knocking food and drinks to the floor. Footage posted to TikTok by 25-year-old Sky Jamal captured the chaos and racked up millions of views. In the first video, the camera panned over cans of cranberries oozing onto the floor. One aisle over, Carmen was hurling armfuls of merchandise to the ground. It was alleged that the woman had been fired shortly before the incident. Police arrived and escorted the woman out of the store. She was not charged with any crime. Despite the scant context, people flocked to social media to share their opinions. Former Walmart employees had plenty to say, with some justifying Carmen's actions. One of them wrote, "They fired me on my 89th day because benefits started on the 90th. Good. Destroy the whole thing and burn it too." Others commented saying her actions was not justified, as other co-workers would be the ones left to clean up the mess.
This happened in June of 2013. I was with my 3 little girls at the non-profit thrift store, trying to buy some new clothes for them before the start of the school year. My financial situation wasn't the best, so it was a struggle to pay for anything, even at the discounted prices. I thought I at least had enough money for what we had in our cart, but at checkout, my card declined. I started to get flustered, knowing one or all of my girls would have to give up something they had just spent hours picking out. And even then, if I spent all our money on clothes, what would we eat for dinner that night? That's when an elderly man in line behind us introduced himself. "Hey, I'm Donald. Let me help you out." He then flashed a $100 Walmart gift card and offered to pay for whatever we wanted to get there, and even offered us all a ride in his van. I was reluctant, obviously, but I felt a lot of pressure from the long line of people behind us. So when he mentioned that we would be meeting his wife there, I caved and went along with it. After all, $100 was a lot of money, and what would he try to do as long as I was there? The risk seemed worth the reward if I could get my girls some new clothes and have money left over to buy dinner. So, we left everything at the thrift store and piled into his van. Of course, it just had to be white and windowless, which didn't make me feel any better about the situation. To my surprise, however, we made it to Walmart without a hitch. From there, my girls and I started shopping and trying on clothes while Donald stood nearby watching. I kept waiting for his wife to show up, but hours went by, and she never did. He made up some excuses about traffic, but at the time, I was too preoccupied with my girls to be very critical of what he was saying. After spending a couple hours at the thrift store trying on clothes, only to leave them all behind and start over doing the same thing for 2 more hours at Walmart, we were all starting to get hungry, and the girls were getting to be a handful. I was in the fitting room with my 5-year-old, struggling to get her into the 10th pair of pants of the day. when all of a sudden Donald said something on the other side of the door.
Cherish wants to go to McDonald's. Is it alright if I take her over there and bring you out some food? I'll meet you back here.
Sure. Just don't take too long. We're almost done here.
I was so distracted with what I was doing that I didn't even think for a second about what Donald was proposing. Several minutes later, it finally dawned on me. I had just let my 8-year-old girl get into a van with a complete stranger. My heart immediately dropped into my stomach as I dropped everything and found the nearest employee. I begged them to help me look for my daughter. We searched every single aisle in the store, but she was nowhere to be found. We decided to wait and see if she would come back, but she never did. After a couple hours, the store closed for the night and I was forced to leave. On the way home, I called the police. They sent out an Amber Alert, but at the time, they said that was all they could do. Once I was home, I called my sister and begged her to come over. When I told her what was happening, she understood completely. Unfortunately, there was no amount of comfort she could give me that would have made that experience any easier. I stayed up all night, sobbing and eating away at myself. That night was the most agonizing night of my life. I knew deep down what was happening, and my mind just kept playing it in my head, over and over like a horror movie. I also knew it was my fault for letting the two of them go together. I kept asking myself, what was I thinking? Clearly, I hadn't been thinking at all. All I knew was that my girls desperately needed clothes, and I was just trying to make the ordeal of getting them the slightest bit easier. But I made a terrible mistake, and my daughter was paying for it. I begged God to let me wake up from this horrible nightmare. It was just too horrific to be reality. I asked my sister to pinch me or slap me a dozen times, but no matter what I did, I couldn't snap out of it. Slowly, it began to sink in that I was living in real life, and I had ruined it forever. Every hour that passed felt like an eternity, but even then, I didn't want to get what I was waiting for. I didn't bother to sleep. I stayed up until the next morning, and that's when I got the call. The police had found her remains in a creek behind a church. The worst of my fears were confirmed. Each and every piece of evidence that came out afterward was just another awful detail about what she went through and how she died that I didn't want to know. They then caught Donald in a vehicle by a nearby road and immediately arrested him. After months of court trials, Donald was deemed to receive the death penalty, but of course it would take years before the state finally goes through with it. My therapist tells me I shouldn't blame myself for what happened. I'm not the criminal who committed the crime after all, but to this day, I have yet to accept that. I feel like any mother would hate themselves for being as careless as I was that night at Walmart. The story was inspired by a disturbing incident regarding a registered offender named Donald James Smith of Jacksonville, Florida, who was accused of abducting a young female named Cherish Periwinkle from a Walmart and then taking her out. Authorities said Smith befriended the girl and her mother while they shopped at a dollar store Friday night. Smith then took them to a Walmart where he offered to buy them clothes and hamburgers. Instead of buying the snacks, Smith walked out of the store with the girl. The girl's mother then called 911 when she noticed they were missing. A tip led investigators to the female's body in the woods near a church Saturday morning. Police arrested Smith after stopping his van on Interstate 95. Smith had been a registered offender since 1993, when he was convicted for attempted kidnapping and selling obscene materials. He has been arrested several times since then. Smith was denied bail and has since been charged and sentenced accordingly.